for each candidate, same way, one question for two candidates. We're gonna start at this end, so everyone has a chance to be kind of first in answering a question. So this one is for Eva and Jason. Do you believe the Economic Development Committee should be reinstated as an integral part of the function of Narragansett boards and commissions? How do you see the EDC as a liaison to the business community and the town?
I do think an economic development committee can be an important committee. It needs to have the right individuals with the right skill sets. I have looked at what other communities are doing and what they do for economic development, which is not just opening businesses and things like that. It's like for future development and having an economic engine with the blue economy and focusing on things that can build our economy. So I think in the past, I know it's been a contentious committee, but I would like to see individuals with the right skill sets and seeing if that could come to fruition.
I was on the Economic Development Committee before it was taken away the first time. It's a great committee. I mean, I agree with Ever. It's a committee that have to have the right skill sets. I think the blue economy is super important to Narragansett, and I think that could be something that could be investigated. Environmental issues can come up in an Economic Development Committee too. I would like to see it grow. I'd like to see it strong. I'd like to see the right people involved in it.
Thank you both. Oh, you get a different question then.
But I was on the economic development.
Oh, well, don't forget you have 2 minutes at the end, so if you want to talk about a question maybe that you didn't get, but you'd like to talk about it, feel free to use your 2 minutes at the end of the session.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so this question is for Wynn and Donna. This is kind of a three-part question. What do you think is the largest factor impacting affordable housing in Narragansett? How do you think we can fix it? And are you committed to supporting the town's affordable housing bond?
I think I mentioned before, I am definitely would like to see the $3 million bond approved. And the affordable housing, again, I think I mentioned a lot about that in my previous statement. We can't sit back and hope thinking it's going to happen. We got to put I'm all right. We got to put proposals out there. They're going to work, that are going to be initiated. We got to attract people to the town. The more people we attract to Narragansett, and we can do that. Like I said before, we got tremendous school system. It's ranked amongst the best in the state. We have this library. We have a recreation facilities that the envy of a lot of the towns within the state. What was the other two? You're confusing me with three now.
Largest factor impacting it?
Excuse me?
Largest factor impacting affordable housing, how we can fix it, and will you support the bond?
The largest thing impacting is the price of the housing, price of our own homes. There are people who have recommended doing things to reduce the value of our homes, and I'm dead set against that. We have, again, getting back to the $3 million bond, but we have property in this town that we can develop into affordable housing. And you can't equate affordable housing with low-income housing like some people do. You need young families to come into town. You need young families to bring their children to put into the school system. There's a Stop waving that thing in front of me. There are a variety of things that we can do, and I think I mentioned a bunch of them before. Thank you.
Affordable housing is a problem everywhere. I don't think Narragansett's unique to that situation. I think in order to fix it, I'm not sure that there's just a one solution to fixing affordable housing. I think it's a complex issue, but I do think attracting young families to Narragansett, one of the things we have to do is we have to change the narrative in Narragansett. We have to promote our schools. We have to talk about how we are the 5th best school district in Rhode Island, not oh my God, we only have 33 kids in the kindergarten, because families coming here, if they hear, well, we may have to leave, we may have to regionalize, that's not going to be attracting them. We have to change the narrative about college kids. There's so many college kids I know that help people, help their neighbors. We don't ever talk about that. We talk about how terrible the college kids are. We need to start being more positive about Narragansett itself, and we need to change the narrative, and we need to promote ourselves as this beautiful town that we live in. I do support the bond. I think it's necessary that we have that money available to us so that we can, in the event something comes up, we will have some access to some money to secure something if we need to for affordable housing. But it's a complex issue, and I think it's something that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of discussion, a lot of stakeholders in order to try to solve an affordable housing. But it's, to me, the number one issue facing Narragansett today.
Okay, thank you. Next question. While there are disagreements on certain issues, what policies and decisions has the current town council passed that you believe they did good work on?
Well, it's hard to address any one specific policy, but I am biased towards the schools. As a member of the school committee, I am grateful for the amount of time and dedication that went into the budget this season and the last 4 years that I've served on the school committee. And any policy that promotes more year-round residents and bringing families into our schools so that we can revitalize, revamp our community, that is what I support. And I am grateful for the collaboration that the school committee has had with the current town council and previous town councils to get through those workshops and supporting our budget and our community.
I commend the current town council for passing the dredging initiative. Narragansett Beach is our pride and joy and jewel of our town. And we need to do whatever it takes to ensure that it is here for its current generation, my generation, and generations down the line. So I am very grateful to the council for having passed that initiative. And if you elect me to council, I will work to ensure that the dredging initiatives continue year over year, such that we can continue to replenish the beach, restore the dunes, and ensure that the beach is around for, again, generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is for Steve and Jill. How would you balance homeowners' right to property use and the neighborhood right to quiet enjoyment of one's property?
Thank you. I think, you know, there's rights equally. There's rights to live in a peaceful neighborhood. There's rights to make money in a town or a business. There's rights to, you know, rent your property and all that sort of stuff. The issue right now is that we're in an imbalance right now. We have, you know, three big things going on. We have the student rentals in the wintertime, there's where there's 6,000, 8,000 students. We have the summer rentals, and we have year-round people, and there's one other that have just seasonal homes. So I think to bring that back in balance, we look at how it was before. I went to URI, I actually lived in Eastwood. Look, there were 3 students in each house, that was it. So that was my senior year. Now it's getting to proliferation where, we have the short-term rentals now, and that's even increasing a lot. So I think the balance is that something has to give a little bit. To get more families in here, you have to open up some housing. Now, the only way you're gonna open up some housing is that if there's a transfer of some of these homes to younger adults. And if we keep, every time there's a house for sale, an investor comes in and they outbid everybody, all the families, so we just can't afford it. So we have to put the policies on that are gonna push this. It's like moving a mountain, it's not easy, because we're going against a $50 to $60 million rental business. We all know that. And you know, I'm proud of this council by at least putting this short-term rental ordinance in. What happens? We get sued again. Now, you know, if the realtors wanna say, well, you know, let us write the ordinance so it's perfectly fine and we'll agree with it, then fine, but that's not how this is working. you know, there's serious things that has to happen to move the needle. Thank you.
I'm going to repeat a lot of what Steve just said. We need to find the right balance. One thing that I've heard consistently when I've walked the neighborhoods over the last couple of weeks, especially after the forum we had not long ago, when that was the first time really that anybody got to hear from the new candidates what they thought the major issues are of the town. And when it came down to it, when I would speak to people about community, it resonated with them that we need to have more families. I'm sorry, Jason, but the number 33 kindergartners really resonates with people when you say that's all we have in school, because we need to find more families here. We have excellent school systems, we have a jewel of a beach, but we have a balance problem with our housing. We need to be able to find a way to have a tax system that can incentivize some landlords to maybe rent to year-round rentals, as well as create more opportunities for families to purchase here. And that is being done right now with our 3-student ordinance that we have in effect, and the short-term rental ordinance that is currently with a stay with Judge Taft-Carter. She has not ruled against it, she's just considering the fact that it needs to be heard. One of the policies for that is we are actually creating a amount of short-term rentals that can be had here in the town, because we don't really know how many we have right now. The state has 1,100, which is why we've developed the number of 1,100 the first year for licensing, 1,000 the next, and followed by 900. But we need to get our arms around how many there are. Our neighborhoods should not be used as hotels. We heard a lot about people not knowing who their neighbors are. Transient people should not be the majority in our neighborhoods. We should have neighbors in our neighborhoods. People should know who they are.
Thank you. Rupert and Jim, this question is, while there are disagreements on the best way to implement a short-term rental ordinance, do you support an overall cap on the total number of short-term rentals in town? And as much as you could discuss on that would be helpful, I'm sure.
Yeah, so, I think it's a good idea to have a cap on the number of short-term rentals. The cap that was established in the ordinance, I'm not sure where that number came from. I know that when we look at the number of short-term rentals that are registered with the state, and you look at the number of rentals that are registered with the town, there's a number of rentals registered with the state that aren't on the town registration list. So there's not good data on how many short-term rentals we have. And I also know there's short-term rentals that aren't registered on either. There's some in our neighborhood that I see. I know they're being rented short-term, and they're not on either database. So I think it's important to set a limit. Where the limit should be, I'm not sure where it should start. And I think Wynn made the point of if we're going to reduce it as is written in the current ordinance, let's look at the first year, how many are registered, and then maybe reduce it by attrition, people that don't renew.
Thank you. Jim?
So, the rentals are, have been kind of flat for the last 10 years. I don't think there's more rentals, than there were, say 5 years ago. I think COVID increased this whole rental thing, Airbnb increased this whole rental thing, but I think we're at a point where people, aren't able to rent their houses as much as they were able to. We saw a decline last year, and we're seeing a bigger decline this year. So the economies kind of take care of things, and I think government sometimes reacts late and overreacts. So I'd have to say the ordinance that the current town council passed with the cap on the short-term rentals was one of the contentious issues that, I keep looking at you, I'm supposed to be looking at these people, I'm sorry.
I'm poker face here.
But I think that the cap is one of the problems, so I wouldn't be supporting the cap, at least the way it was proposed. But I do think we need to do something about it, and I would support some type of regulation. And, there's something else I was going to say, but I forgot what it was, so, I'm sorry, but that's it.
Thank you. If you could make that microphone, make its way down to Eva.
Yeah.
Got another set of questions. And this question is for Eva and Jason. If elected, what is the first item you will place on the agenda?
I think we're first place, that I would place on the agenda.
Yes.
I think, just, I don't know, there's the format, I know we're gonna have license renewals coming up, I know like we delayed that, but I think just, continuing, any items that really help with housing affordability and making sure that we continue the process to bring balance into our community, whether that be through new ordinances or implementing, you know, safeguards to current ordinances.
First item on the agenda.
Just hold a little bit closer.
The first item on the agenda. Huh.
The first item you would put on the agenda.
Me?
It might be the
Like,
first meeting,
oh,
but-
well, I'd like to investigate into our playgrounds, actually, a little bit. So I probably would put like a study on our playgrounds. I'd like to see some new playgrounds built. I would especially like to see Cristofaro become a state-of-the-art playground. So I think I might start there. I would also probably talk about the bike path a little bit, try to move that forward quicker rather than hold off on it. That's about it. I mean, there's gonna be tons.
Thank you. Okay, next question. What current ordinances do you perceive as inappropriate, misguided, or unfair?
What ordinances do I perceive?
What current ordinances do you perceive as either inappropriate, misguided, or unfair, if any?
That's an interesting question. What do I think is unfair or inappropriate? Well, I don't think the 7-day rental is fair. And one reason is that there's not an exception for people who rent rooms in their own home. 24% of our population are senior citizens. I have a lady at the end of my street, been here for about, 15 years. She rents one room in her house. Since she's been here, her taxes have tripled, her social security is not tripled, her retirement is not tripled. She rents one room to try to create enough money so she can stay in town. This ordinance, I think, is extremely unfair to a lot of residents in town. I don't think it was very well thought out. I would change that. Do we need some type of restriction? Yes, we do. But you have to take everybody into consideration when you're making these ordinances or passing these ordinances. That's why we've spent, $500,000, $750,000 in legal fees, because we don't think the ordinance is through. So that's probably would be on my top of my list to investigate. Have any more time? 15 seconds, I'll pass.
I would have to say that the short-term rental, I don't believe was well thought out. I think that it needs to be brought back to the table. I think all stakeholders need to come to the table. We need to talk, we need to have discussion, we need to look at compromises. I truly believe that what has happened now is that people have drawn a line in the sand because they don't feel like they were listened to. And I don't think that people are willing to compromise on either end because they don't feel like their voice is being heard. And I believe through discussion that we could come up with a better short-term rental ordinance than what's currently in existence. I also have heard a lot about zoning and how the state is trying to help alleviate with the affordable housing. And I don't know all the details, and I could never even stand to tell you right now all the specifics, but I know that the town has then now changed their zoning which is now not helping what the state was trying to do. And I don't understand all the details of it, and it's something that I would research and try to get more information on. But I think the zoning, I've heard a lot of people talk about different zoning problems that they're having based on the changes in the zoning plans. So I think those would be the two things.
Thank you. Next question. Do you think the process by which residents get the opportunity to rent cabanas that currently results in a multi-year wait list should be changed? Tell us why.
Well, a fun one. I used to work at the beach for 7 years, and I have to say I was always quite surprised working the cabana lots and really often seeing it empty. I think that this is definitely a policy that we can look into further. And I'm not against a lottery system, but I also have empathy for those who have been on the waiting list for 15, 20 years. I missed the waiting list time. It's really sad that if I wanted to have a cabana that I'd have to wait until I was 50-something years old to even start considering that, and many of us don't even have that consideration within our lifetimes. And when we're all advocating for greater coastal access, and we echo the idea of the beach being the jewel of our community, it would be really wonderful for all of the money that we're investing into the upkeep of our cabanas to be able to share in those resources. So I'm in favor of any opportunity of regulating the cabanas more. It's not a popular idea, but I don't want to say no to anyone who's been on the waiting list. People who have been on the waiting list for that amount of time should have the opportunity to rent a cabana, but there has to be some sort of a compromise with moving that list along so that we can actually use and fill up our lots. So that's my edit.
All right. I don't believe that cabanas should be given to individuals for lifetimes. The cabanas are for the town. What I would propose is to institute a year limit for the people who presently have cabanas, be it 5 years perhaps, before they forfeit them, and going on to the wait list, giving it to the people on the wait list for 2 years, cycling through until we've exhausted the wait list before moving on to a lottery system amongst the populace, such that it can be fair and equitable, and all members of our Narragansett community can have access to a cabana. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question for Steve and Jill. Talk about how you feel about accessibility to the ocean. Previously, councils explored increasing parking at certain right-of-ways that could handle it to allow citizens, or anyone really, to access the water more easily. Is that something that you would look into again? What are your thoughts just around accessibility to our beautiful ocean?
I've always been for accessibility to our ocean, and we're lucky to have as much accessibility as we have in this town, between the town beach, all the state beaches we have, and I can remember at the time, I was younger, when Black Point, they were thinking about putting condominiums at Black Point, and there was this goes back a ways, but there was actually a person used to walk from Point Judith all the way to Narragansett by the pier, and it was a man, and that was one of the ideas of having a right of way. Now, the condo development got dropped, and then we had the state purchase it, and then they purchased a lot of other properties. So the state has made great improvements. So I think we have a lot of access at this point. The Nullman Park, it'd be nice if they could open that up, but that's privately owned. I think there's other areas where we can go into. I mean, we have plenty of right-of-ways in town. The issue is, today everybody has a vehicle. If everybody was walking to all these right-of-ways, there wouldn't be as much cars parked there. So, we have Hazard Avenue, Newton Avenue. Some of those workers, it's a little wider. There's significant parking. So I think we have a lot of access where people can get to the beach. Some of the areas where it's inaccessible, maybe they have to be reviewed or try to continue some more parking, but, you know, there's actually been some access there because some of the parking has been made. So, I'm definitely an advocate for it. I think there's a lot of it, and I think we're not taking advantage of all the access that we do have here. And we should be grateful for it. Thank you.
Well, the Rhode Island Constitution guarantees everyone from Rhode Island access to the water. And Rhode Island and Narragansett, we have no more water than in Narragansett to access for the amount of state beaches we have, as well as our town beach. So I'm gonna answer the question that really talks about ocean access, really about our town beach. Our town beach has a parking lot, the west lot, that has 178 parking spots that is open to any non-resident that wants to come and enjoy our beach. The beach workshop that was just had, as Eva mentioned, 80,000 non-residents used our beach this past summer, 80,000. And that is 40% of all day passes that came through. So certainly there is ocean access in the town of Narragansett to anyone who wants to use our lovely beach. And let's face it, everybody wants to use our beach. In regard to facilities and the question that was asked about cabanas, I'm happy to say that being on the rec board, one thing that we did was create a rec board subcommittee. Jan is in the background, and she was our chair of our rec board subcommittee. So when the next town council is in front of the subcommittee, they will be revealing what they feel are the fair and equitable reasons for people to have all facilities, just not cabanas, because remember, we have lockers that are also very, very welcoming for people. So this will all be rolled out at the next committee, but again, Jen, I want to thank you and your committee for all your hard work. I know you had open public meetings. It was a difficult thing to handle.
I hope everybody likes what we came up with.
Yeah, I think
Call me out.
you did a nice job. There she is back there, blue shirt. She did a very nice job.
Okay, this is gonna be our last question to the candidates. We're gonna go back and everyone will have a 2-minute closing statement. Again, I encourage you to bring up anything you want in that closing statement. If there's other questions that you wish you had been asked and you want to answer them, please do that. And then we're gonna actually have some nice time, probably about 20 or 25 minutes, that we can all mingle much more casually, stand up, walk around. There's refreshments in the back, okay? All right, so the last question. Pages are getting mixed up. Okay, if elected, what do you hope this coming council will be known for?
That's, to me, that's an easy question. It's a softball.
I just did it as
So
a
I hope that the council is known for building consensus and having a civil discussion about issues, and really bringing the community in, having workshops and facilitated discussion of the community when we have those issues that are contentious, and then communicating about why the council is making the decisions we're making, and the reasons behind them, and why the direction we're going. I think communication is as important, not just what the council's doing, but what the town does. And I think a lot of people get concerned, get upset about things because they don't understand the reasons behind the town's ordinances, the town's decisions. And I think that's really important, the communication, as well as the civil discussion leading to consensus on important decisions.
I guess the question seemed like it was just a simple question for a simple answer, but that's okay. But I would have to say inclusionary. That's what I'd like to be proud of.
Thank you. Why don't you keep the mic, Jim?
Oh, God. All right.
Get ready.
Get ready.
So we'll go into the 2-minute closing statement. When you're ready. You ready? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Laurie Kelly, for organizing this important forum, and thank you to all the participants and residents for coming out tonight. I'd also like to take a moment to recognize Susan Cicilline Bonanno for many years of dedicated service to the town, as well as Deb Kopek for her contributions. Your commitment has made a lasting impact, and we are grateful. To the voting public, thank you for your support in the primary. I urge you to carry that same momentum into the general election. We are at a critical point in our town's future. If we don't bring in fresh leadership, we risk facing the same gridlock, the same lawsuits, and the same stagnation that have held us back. A clean slate gives us the opportunity to move forward with clarity and purpose, avoiding the quagmire of inaction. Let's work together for a Narragansett that thrives for all of us. Thank you, and I hope to earn your vote again in the general election.
I feel lucky that my life has brought me to live in this wonderful town. I'm concerned because I see the town changing in ways that are not sustainable as a community. More than half the properties in the town are owned by non-residents, and the percentage of outside owners is increasing. This trend's creating complex challenges for the town, many that we've discussed tonight. Housing that's affordable for our children who want to live here, families who want to move here, and people working in the area, and sustaining year-round community and quality schools. The trends aren't good, and I'm concerned that the town is at a tipping point and risks becoming hollowed out as a community. I've seen this happen in other towns where I've worked. When these places lose their community cohesion and sense of belonging, when that happens, residents who move there aren't connected to the town. They aren't interested in the town's future. And these towns declined as decisions were driven by short economic benefit of a few. We can't keep kicking the can down the road on decisions addressing the town's difficult issues. I have the skills and experience to help the town navigate through our challenges. As those who have watched my work on the planning board seen, I do my homework, I come to meetings prepared. If elected, I can hit the ground running. I'm committed to working in the town's best interests, establishing a track record that validates your confidence in me, so that 100 years from now, I want future generations, our grandchildren's children, to still be able to say, this is a wonderful place, instead of, this used to be such a wonderful town. How did this happen? Let's make the right decisions for the future we want for our town. And thank you again for being here tonight.
Thank you.
That was an excellent answer. Here's my closing statement. I think right now we're at a tipping point in our community, and many things that Rupert just mentioned. And this election is going to come down to two things: community, or do we want real estate investors? We right now at our tipping point. If we don't make some of the hard decisions that I'm so proud that Steve and Eva and I did, and Deb, as far as the 3 student and the short-term rental ordinances we put into effect, we're gonna lose the town. It's an easy thing to talk about when we walk around and knock on doors. We're losing the town. We're losing our school system. We're losing the character of our community. We don't have a community. People don't know each other. And as far as the litigation that we've gotten into, the only reason that we have to fight and hire attorneys to fight is because we're being sued by a $55 million group of people who have been unregulated for such a long period of time that any regulation whatsoever makes them fight, makes them run to court.
Like the library?
So we are fighting for our community. We're fighting for our community. No, Mr. Riley, I appreciate if you wouldn't interrupt me, sir. So we're fighting for our community. And you know what, Mr. Riley interrupted me, I lost my train of thought, so I'm gonna just pass. No,
Take a breath.
no, that's okay.
Okay, let's pick it up here. First, I would like to thank the voters of Narragansett who elected me in the 2022 election. It has been a fulfilling experience to be involved in many aspects of our town. I have met many new residents, and I am running again this year to continue a platform of full-time, resident-friendly neighborhood quality of life policies, which includes ensuring our neighborhoods are a priority and there is a framework in place to accomplish this goal. I am an advocate of the 3 college student ordinance, the 3 unrelated ordinances. I believe this will prevent our single-family neighborhoods from becoming mini dormitory districts with guest houses and mini hotels implanted in our residential neighborhoods. When this occurs, our neighborhoods experience a more transient status and residents become concerned that changes in the fabric of the neighborhood, people do not know who their neighbors are. If the situation continues, It threatens one of the very ideals of the American dream of single-family home ownership and a sense of a community. I have always been involved with my community in the past, attending town council meetings, working with other neighborhood associations, and finding common ground on issues, and working with solutions. And I respectfully ask for your vote in November. Thank you.
I am not a politician. I know I'm not the most polished up here, nor am I the most experienced with local town politics. That said, how does one gain experience? By doing. I hope that you may elect me to office such that I can gain more experience. I bring a unique perspective as someone who has left and returned to Rhode Island. I love this town, and I am its future. I want to represent this town in the office of town council and hope that you may consider me for the position. Again, I'm an Eagle Scout, Lions Club member, and have used these experiences to aid and contribute to the Narragansett community. I'm committed to the residents of this town and ensuring a high quality of life for those residents. I want to decommission Fort Nathaniel Green in the south end and buy back dilapidated land in Point Judith from the city of Providence to be used for housing that is affordable, with priority given to town workers, teachers, firefighters, police officers, and fishermen. I want to ensure coastal access rights for all. Thank you to Lori Kelly and the library for having us this evening. Thank you to you all for attending and being informed constituents. And again, I hope I may have your support in November. Please visit tctorialde.com. Thank you.
Thank you again, Lori and Nancy, for putting this forum together, my fellow candidates for being here, and to all of you Narragansett residents in attendance here tonight. I also want to acknowledge Susan and Deb for your many years of dedication and service to this town. I wish you all the best, but don't go too far. We might be looking for your guidance soon again. I support funding our library. I support funding our schools and dredging the mouth of the river. I support improving transportation for our seniors. But most importantly, preserving the high quality of life for all residents needs to be the top priority. In just 2 weeks' time, you will have the power to institute change. Your voice matters, and your vote is so important. We are only able to lead as well as we are able to listen to residents and hear directly from you. We need to come together to protect the future of our town and our way of life. Let us pass down to our children and future generations a future that we can all be proud of. I will do everything I can to support all Narragansett residents in this town. I believe in our town, I believe in our residents, I believe in a future that is filled with community and collaboration. Serving as a leader in this town has been the greatest honor of my life, and I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your support. Everyone up here has different backgrounds and experiences. Everyone here is a leader in their own way. Now it is up to you, the voters, to decide which balance of backgrounds and experiences you value most in your next town council. Together we can work to rebuild our community and support policies that work for all residents. You all have graciously put your faith in me before, and I will respectfully ask for your support during this election. To learn more about my candidacy, please visit www.votealexmenzies.com. And I have 15 seconds. I want to give a quick soundbite for the school committee candidates who are in attendance here tonight. I see at least 3, Justin, Jen, maybe CJ somewhere back there as well. Please, if you have the opportunity to speak with them directly here tonight, they have shown their support for us. I would like you to return the favor by showing your support for them. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with you my positions and ideas on many of the issues facing the residents of Narragansett. I believe you heard from 5 candidates tonight that have a shared purpose of bringing back to the residents of Narragansett a sense of community by leading with respect, kindness, and active listening. 5 candidates who want to ensure that all residents are represented, valued, and enjoy the best quality of life. I think it's essential that the town council reflect all sectors of the Narragansett population, to seek solutions to the issues from unique perspectives. Alex and Ryan, young candidates who understand the difficulties of buying a home and starting a family, or hearing from Jason, who is currently raising his family here, 2 children in the school district, paying taxes, and knows the needs of young families. From Jim, who's a lifelong successful businessman, knows the concerns facing businesses, knows the apprehensions of the landlords, and knows the history of Narragansett better than most. I honestly believe that you cannot make good decisions going forward unless you know what has been done in the past. And, well, for me, I see things through the eyes of a female and a senior who knows what it's like to live on a fixed income. We are 5 candidates who genuinely have respect for one another, are willing to listen to each other and learn from each other, and see each other's varying points of view. I believe if all 5 of us are elected, we can accomplish effectively and successfully making Narragansett the best it could be. But the most important message I leave with you tonight is that your voice matters and your vote counts. You can make a difference by filling out that ballot and voting for the future you see for Narragansett.
Thank you. Let's not talk about the past, because I am the past. I've been here many years, and like I said, people have come to me or I've helped solving problems. And I'm an old man, I'll talk about what I've done, a couple of the things, and what I think I can bring to you. For instance, the land that the middle school sits on. We're looking for land. I happen to know some people who own that property. I went, negotiated for that property for the town. We bought the property and built the middle school. Dominic Cristofaro came to many years ago. We didn't have a Little League field. We were playing at George C. after a Little League field on Brown Street, which nobody here has ever seen except me. Came to me and said, hey, we got to do something about a Little League field. We walked the present Little League field. For somehow, some reason, some night, a whole bunch of Phils showed up, and we built the Little League field. My proudest accomplishment, I think, is when the athletic director at the high school, when they combined, cut middle school sports. There were only 4 then: basketball, boys and girls, softball, and baseball. And if they cut the sports, we were out of the sports for 2 years. Baseball team, which I was coaching the team, got together. I picked them up every single day for 6 weeks. We went door to door. And I think one of the proudest moments in my town was my son and his team walked down that aisle to Sheila Trainer and presented them a check for $10,000 and saved the sport. 2 years later, the middle school had an athletic director for themselves. And I don't know what would have happened if that hadn't happened. But those kids made me the proudest person in this town. I will do more for you.
Your time's up, Lynn.
Talk to me later.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having this. Thanks for being here. I just wanted to say a couple things. I'm going off script. I shouldn't do it, but I'm going to. Just want to say that if you want, the best times of my life here in Narragansett have been with the families of Narragansett. And they do exist. They're out there and they work hard every day. They have children. They're playing sports. They're there. Just go to a sporting event and you'll see them. Go to a rec event and you will see them. They are all over the place. And we are proud and we are strong. So please remember that we are out there and we are working hard for this town. I also think that we need to dredge the river to save the beach and to save the river. And I think that's a priority that we should do. I know this council is already pushing it forward, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'd like to see some offshore shoulder season events happen. I think that can help the economy. I think it can bring people here. It will also help support the tourists and the residents and the businesses. And I also think we need to support the students. We are a 3 economy town, and that's what keeps our taxes low. And we have to keep our taxes low. We all want our taxes low, right? So we have to support those 3 economies. Think about me in 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks left. Yay!
Last but not least, so thank you very much for organizing this forum. Thank you for those to those who submitted those questions. Some of them were very thought-provoking, so thank you for that, and thank you for everybody for attending and really listening to what the candidates have to say. You know, I'm a URI grad ×2. I love URI, and I was able to purchase my own home, and I'm blessed to live here and own my own home here. And I really want that to be a possibility for others as well. And currently, I think it's out of reach for many. So what I do on council is thinking of all those people and wanting to bring community back and year-round families. I ran for town council in 2020 to help unify the town and ensure that the will of the people was followed. And I'm completing my second term on the council, and there's a lot more work to be done. I have the experience that residents trust, and I'm running for town council because we're at a frightening point of no return with investor landlords buying up our town and driving up house prices so that year-round families can no longer afford to live here. And I'm sounding the alarm. This needs to change, and we need the right council elected to make sure we can put a stop to this. So it's been an honor and privilege serving the town for the past 4 years on the council. I humbly request your vote on November 5th or before to re-elect me for a third term to continue progress on important issues in our town. If re-elected, I will continue to fight for community and balance in our town. Experience matters. Having candidates that can hit the ground running is so important, as there is so much more work to be done. For more information, please go to voteforeva.com or check out the League of Women Voters insert. Thank you.
Thank you. And before Lori comes up for her closing remarks, Jill, I asked you earlier, but would you like a chance to say a few words?
Sure.
Can we get the microphone back to Jill?
Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we heard a lot of really good buzzwords tonight. One of them was respect, that people want to have more respect in town.
What was that, Jill? If you want respect, give it.
He needs to leave, that is
Michael.
really obnoxious.
There's really no audience participation at this point, so let's wait till we all get up and talk to each other around the room.
I'll get up now.
Okay.
Good job. Good job.
Go ahead.
Respect and kindness. We heard a lot about kindness tonight too, and I agree. And if anyone tuned into the town council meeting last night, you saw active listening. You saw people respected. You saw kindness. You saw collaboration. You saw a lot of these things. And it all comes down to having the right council and the right people working together. And the four of us last night showed that. One of the earlier questions was about the structure of the town council and who gets elected town council president. Now, there is no long-time decision on this. It is dependent upon the people that are elected to the body. And I really believe a lot of what was written on social media this past couple of years was because of the fact that Eva was elected to the town council president. And that was a vote that I took really tough look at. When I was on the council with Susan and she was a president, she would not communicate with me. So when it came down to voting for her, I couldn't vote for her because I wanted to be able to have someone that I could speak with. So yes, I voted for Eva, and Eva's taken a lot in social media over the last couple of years about it. But since the question was posed, I felt that I would ask and answer it. So thank you so much. I ask you for your vote either before or on election day. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates and everyone that attended. Let's, Lori, have a few last words.
Very few last words. Congratulations to everyone that didn't take every second of the time. So now we get to meet the crowd, and there is water and some, snacks in the back. So please meet everyone one-on-one. Thank you so much for participating because this is important.